Nigga, we own you. Don't we pay you enough to throw that football and to run with that football? Nigga, we own you. This is the owners' league. You over there talking about you won't stand because of social injustices. Well, the owners or the masters don't like that. So we're gonna do whatever we can to blackball you, or we will blackball you. But you know what? Keep doing what you're doing, and you'll be out here soon, because this is our owners' league. Now, if you get what I'm saying, then you're one of the smart ones. I'm a big sports fan and whatnot. I'm into athletics, you know, just like most Americans are. But when you kind of break it down and you look at all of these leagues, they're owned by, you know, they're not owned by us teams, you know, there's a small majority that are owned by us, you know, across the board as far as NFL, NBA, MLB. But when I do look at, you know, an association like the NBA, I see that the players are more hands-on with the NBA, with that association. And, you know, kudos to the NBA for allowing players to be to express themselves more. The MLB, you know, it's America's pastime, and you know, granted, you know, that it is America's pastime. You know, the MLB pays their players handsomely. So, you know, the athletes in the MLB have better contracts. Also in the NBA, they have better contracts. But when we look at the NFL and we see how NFL contracts are set up, you know, they're set up the worst out of the three major sports. And then, two, you know, like I was just saying before I started talking, it's an owners' league. You know, the owners get the you know, they get the favor. You know, I mean, some people might say, well, you're an NFL player making millions. Well, like I said, they have one of the worst contracts, and their money isn't, you know, they don't get as much guaranteed money as NBA, MLB players, you know, unless you're a superstar or whatnot. So for Colin Kaepernick to come out and do what he's doing, it's very defining, because he's doing it against the NFL. If you ever seen the movie Concussion, you see that there's a lot of you know, power that the NFL holds, you know, and there's a lot of people backing it, all the way up from the government, you know, on down, and it's ran by, you know, very rich, powerful white people who don't want you to say nothing. Where compared to the NBA, you know, the NBA is more so a players' league. So I get kudos to my boy Colin Kaepernick, man. Also, shout out to, you know, the ladies in the WNBA that are standing up, or that stood up for social injustice. You know, at the end of the day, you know, and I'm talking about the WNBA now, and I'm going at the commissioner. At the end of the day, I understand that sponsors and corporations, that's what brings money in, you know, as well as the fans. But as people, we can't be so worried about the dollar. Our morals shouldn't take a backseat to the dollar. So as a commissioner, you know, for the WNBA, and I'm talking about WNBA now, not Colin Kaepernick, you know, I'm talking about, better yet, I'm talking about all across the board. You know, if you guys are more so worried about your bottom line than the players, then quit your jobs, you know, which I mean kind of negates what I'm saying, but go find another job. Go find another job. Don't quit your jobs because you work. You know, that was kind of a stupid thing to say, but you know, if you care more about the bottom line than you do the players, then you should, you know, find another job. You know, in my opinion, the players and the fans are the most important people to these because without them, you don't have a league. I was going to say one more thing. Stephen A.Smith, I'm a big fan of yours. Very big fan of yours, Stephen A. Same thing goes to you, man. I know you've been a man who's never bit his tongue. You've been a man who's always spoke his mind. I respect you for that. But at the end of the day, don't let the money change you, man. You know, Skip left. You know, there's probably certain reasons why Skip left. You know, from reading or something I read. One was, you know, him having the ability to express himself. You know, at the end of the day, these big corporations, you know, force dollars down your throat, but they don't want you to speak out against anything that's negative, or they don't want you to voice your opinion or whatnot. And then that's rightfully so, man. You can't, you know, you can't go. If you work at McDonald's, you can't do that. You know, if you work somewhere else, you know, a corporation, you work at Walmart, you can't do that. But you guys also got to consider your platforms too. You know, a stalker at Walmart or a burger flipper at McDonald's doesn't have the same platform as a Stephen A. Smith and whatnot. So sometimes, you know, you got to keep that in consideration. And you've done a good job with that, Stephen A. But, you know, with that being said, you know, don't let the money change you. Don't let the corporations change you. You know, I feel like it's going to get a whole lot more worse. Or it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And at the end of the day, you know, yeah, money matters. Money matters because we need to take care of our families. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to be able to sleep too. So if Colin Kaepernick standing up for something that he feels that is wrong, and in my opinion, Colin Kaepernick, you know, he's expressed himself in the right way. You know, he's not going out there doing anything that's hurting anybody else. I serve this country. You know, I served this country. I served in Afghanistan. But in the same breath, we're ready to jump down people's throats for the wrong things. You know, he has freedom of speech. You know, I served this country and fought for this country for that freedom of speech. And I applaud him going against the machine as big as the NFL. And the same thing with the girls in the WNBA. So owners, commissioners, you know, you don't have to support your players. You don't have to back your players. But, you know, if you scared of you don't know what's going on, as long as your players ain't hurting nobody, you know, leave them alone and let them do what they do. And there's rules and regulations that these leagues have, and if they ain't violating it, let them do what they want to. As long as they ain't breaking no regulations that the league has or nothing legal, you know, I don't know. There's no law that says you can get arrested for not standing up for the Pledge of Allegiance. So, you know, and we gotta understand too, man. These are machines, and these people have bottom lines, and a lot of times the bottom lines matter more than people, and it's sad. So, you know, salute Colin Kaepernick, salute the girls in the WNBA, salute anybody else who's spoken out against injustice and who's, you know, had big platforms to do so. Keep speaking the truth, man. Which the truth will set a lot of people free. There's a lot of hatred and racism in this country that's hidden, that's blatant, and we just need to be true. We need to be truthful with each other, man. We need to be honest with each other, and then we need to heal. We need to be able to love on one another, and you know, start doing things different. And that goes for everybody. That goes for white people, black people. There's certain things that we need to clean up in our community, and start doing better, you know. And same thing with white folk. We need to start, I mean, it's not we, but y'all, you know, there's certain things that you guys need to start doing better. And at the end of the day, we just need to start linking up and making it happen and start doing better things for this nation. I'm a Christian, for the body of God, so on and so forth, man. So that's my take on it. And, you know, that's how I feel about it, man. So, God bless.